Now here's what I also know: this whole EQ Gangster thing. Like, I know it's not going to appeal to everybody. I know it's not going to be everybody's jam, but that is what makes me unique. How I talk, right? Even my phrases. I still say a lot of funny, interesting phrases, and so I am not your typical corporate EQ coach. I'm not your typical person, specialist, professional in the emotional health, emotional intelligence space, and that's what makes me unique. And so rather than run from it, avoid it, and try to be very vanilla and very generic and basic, that's not how anybody who becomes successful in anything does it.
Welcome to the EQ for Entrepreneurs podcast. Like most business owners, you already know you need good business and marketing strategies to scale and be profitable. But at some point, you've hit the dreaded wall where you feel stuck and frustrated. EQ for Entrepreneurs is for business owners and leaders who are honest enough to admit that they just might be the ones holding their business back and are brave enough to change that.
We're Noble and Kathy, and every week we're having candid conversations about all things emotional intelligence and how growing that has allowed us to get out of our own way and is radically transforming both our businesses and our personal lives. This is the secret sauce strategy for modern entrepreneurs who are tired of hustling without seeing results and want to grow a business and a life that they love.
What is going on, EQ Gangsters? So, really stoked to share kind of the background, a little more context to the rebrand and remodel that we're going through with our podcast and even business model. So, the quick context is we had to start somewhere with EQ for Entrepreneurs, and we had no idea if it was going to turn into anything. We didn't know if 5 people would listen to it, 5,000 people would listen to it. We had no idea. I have 3 spheres of influence, and this is really important to know when starting a business. My 3 main spheres of influence are military community, because my background is the military. Went to West Point, was in the 82nd Airborne Division, Airborne Ranger, in the 82nd, and had my time, in the military. And then I've got the homeschool community. Have been homeschooling our daughter for 13 years. And so we've got, I've done a lot in social media with homeschoolers, helping homeschoolers. I'm passionate about homeschoolers and homeschooling. 3 reasons we wanted to homeschool. We wanted to teach our daughter the core values and principles that we embrace. So biblical principles in our case. We also wanted to teach her how to think, not what to think, the tools of learning. And then the third thing is we want to teach her how to be an entrepreneur. If she wants to be an employee when she gets older, that's fine. But we want to teach her the skills of entrepreneurship, because there are so many life lessons that you learn from being and thinking like an entrepreneur. Those are our 3 main circles of influence: military, homeschooling, and then the third one is business. We've been entrepreneurs for 20 plus years, 24 years now, almost 25 years. And, we've got a lot of connections and stuff, and we've spoken around the world, literally to tens of thousands of people for 15, 20 years now. And so we have a lot of entrepreneurship, business connections as well. And so of those 3, the one we've done the longest is business. And so I thought, okay, well, we've done the business one the longest, been involved in the business community the longest, so let's go ahead and start one specifically for entrepreneurs. Unbeknownst to me this is not unbeknownst to me, but EQ, emotional health, emotional intelligence, impacts every single person, everybody. If you've got a pulse, emotions impact you. whether you're aware of that or not, whether you think they do or not, they impact you. And so we were thinking, okay, well, maybe let's go ahead and start with EQ for Entrepreneurs and just see how it goes. Again, at that time, I didn't think anyone was going to listen to it anyway, so what's it really going to matter what we call it? But just in case it did, we're just going to start with EQ for Entrepreneurs. We started there. had no idea that the same month that we were going to start our podcast, COVID was announced. Oh, hey, there's this crazy virus going around called COVID. So, and that emotional health was going to be one of the most talked about, discussed topics in the history of our country. And the consequences of locking up social and relational beings for a year and a half, of course, the media, the thing that they talked about 95% of the time was COVID and all that, masking, not masking, getting vaccinated, not getting vaccinated, all that stuff, right? 95% of the media was that. Well, maybe 99% of the media was that. And very little was discussed about the silent pandemic of domestic abuse going up 3-digit percentages. Like, one article, 200%, 300%. Depression up triple digits. Suicide up crazy digit percentages as well. Addiction up like double, tripled in the past 12 to 18 months. And so the number of people that have died as a result of all those things, depression, suicide, addiction, domestic abuse, domestic violence, thousands and thousands and thousands of people. But again, 99% of the media was talking about, and 99% of the time was talking about, the virus. And that's a whole nother conversation, discussion for another time. Like, what, why? Why would you ignore if human life matters to us, to all of us? Why are we only talking about one dynamic and one aspect of COVID when there are so many other consequences and repercussions, again, for locking up people in away from other people? And so anyway, no idea COVID was going to happen. No idea that, again, mental, emotional health was going to be one of the most talked about, discussed topics ever. And so, boom, our podcast started to do fairly well. And again, that's relative, because obviously we're not even, I think Joe Rogan, for example, who's the number one podcaster in the world, Joe Rogan probably gets more downloads in the first minute than we do possibly all year. So our success is very, very relative. So, but we've had a number of people that have been paying attention, tuning in, listening, learning, and we want to thank you all for that too. Thank you so much for being a part of our journey, and hopefully letting us be a part of your journey in your own emotional growth journey, emotional health journey, emotional healing journey, emotional fitness journey. And so, boom, again, I think we're probably over 35,000 downloads now. And so then that turned into a course. We built an 8-week course teaching emotional intelligence, just kind of the basics of emotional intelligence. And if you've been in your emotional health journey, emotional healing journey for years, decades, we are probably not your content in emotional health and emotional intelligence. We're more for those people that are kind of starting, either brand new into the journey, just haven't even started their journey yet, or are just in the early phases and stages of their emotional growth journey. That's probably more our audience than somebody that, again, that's been on this journey for years and years and years. Me, I've been on the journey for 4 years myself personally, so that's kind of our sweet spot. From 0 to maybe 5 years is probably our sweet spot in this journey, in this space. And so and there are way more qualified people than us from the standpoint. Again, I don't this is all part of how did the rebrand happen. We ask ourselves, what makes Noble unique? Why am I unique in this space, or what makes me unique in this space? Number one, I'm the last guy that should be teaching emotional intelligence, right? I've been emotionally clueless 98% of my life up until literally 4 years ago. And so I've been emotionally clueless my whole life. I've never even been aware of feelings and emotions ever this entire time. So that's number one. Number two is, how many airborne ranger, jump master, infantry people are out there with emotional intelligence backgrounds or in this space, that are in this space of emotional health, emotional intelligence. Not many, at least based on my limited perspective. Most are very academic or clinical. They're either very academic or very clinical. They've been practicing, psychology, been psychologists for 20 years, 30 years. I heard a lady last night in the emotional and mental health space that's been practicing psychologist for 20 or 30 years. She has 6 degrees in this space. Has treated, something like 20,000, 25,000 patients, so way different end of the spectrum than me. And that's not my space, right? I'm not coming from an academic or clinical perspective. I'm coming from an entrepreneur who's been emotionally clueless. I'm coming from an entrepreneur, a military veteran, and homeschool dad that has been emotionally clueless for most of his life. So again, that makes me very unique in this space. And so, I've got tattoos, big bald guy, bearded guy. And so I talked to one of my buddies, a guy named Alika, and Alika is a brand expert. And I said, Alika, you've known me for over a decade now. You've followed, you've kind of been following us through this journey of us building this, starting this podcast, emotional about emotional intelligence, emotional health. What is your take? How are we different? How am I different in this space? Is it EQ for entrepreneurs? Is that how we move forward? We had this big media opportunity. You guys, if you heard the last few episodes, I talked about the 81 media reps that I pitched emotional intelligence to, emotional health to, and 69 of them said they wanted more information. And so I've already probably booked 15 of those 69 that said they wanted more information. I've already booked and scheduled 15 different appointments with those to be on their podcasts or TV shows or radio shows, that kind of thing. And so anyway, I asked him, and he said, dude, you are a gangster in this space, right? You are a gangster in EQ. He's like, dude, you're the EQ gangster. And so, I thought about it, because the other dynamic is there, what's also happening and coming a lot to me now is our corporate clients, corporate clients, executives, big executives. One is a $300 million company. Another one is a $3 billion company. There's another one that I'm currently in talks with, a $400 million company that wants me to put together a emotionally intelligent leader development program. And so all these, these different opportunities. And so, now here's what I also know, this whole EQ gangster thing, like, I know it's not going to appeal to everybody. I know it's not going to be everybody's jam, but that is what makes me unique. How I talk, right? Even my phrases, I still say a lot of funny, interesting phrases. And so I am not your typical corporate EQ coach. I'm not your typical person, specialist, professional in the emotional health, emotional intelligence space. And that's what makes me unique. And so rather than run from it, avoid it, and try to be very vanilla and very generic and basic, that's not how anybody who becomes successful in anything does it. They embrace and own their uniqueness. So what makes you unique? What makes you different? What makes you stand out in whatever space you're in? How can you be even more bold or more loud, so to speak, in your respective space and industry and place? So, write down all your attributes. What makes you unique? What makes you different? How do you talk? How do you look? How do you dress? How do you, what are you attracted to? What things are you attracted to? All those are clues. All those questions and answers are clues to maybe you're, dialing in your uniqueness, asking some other people, hey, what do you think makes me unique? Put it on social media. Hey, I'm just doing a quick survey. I'm trying to brand myself more specifically. Or I'm trying to rebrand myself. If you had to summarize me up in one word or one phrase, what word or phrase would come to your mind? Something like that, just to kind of help get some outside perspective, some social awareness with how other people perceive you. Are you aware of how other people perceive you? Not what you think they think about you, but how do they actually perceive you? So he gave some great insights. And so again, I know it's not going to be for everybody, this whole EQ Gangster approach, but that people who know me, absolutely. Tattoos, right? I got all kinds of tattoos, I'm bald, beard, all that kind of stuff. How I talk, I don't talk like an academic. I don't talk like I'm a 40-year psychologist, because I'm not. I talk like a military veteran, to be honest with you. And so, which on one side makes me very, very relatable. One of the most challenging demographics that has one of the biggest challenges with emotions and emotional health and emotional intelligence are men. I've been, again, in my own research and studies, so many men, our culture, our Western society does not raise men, it does not raise most men to be, aware of and able to identify, and manage and process our own emotions, or the emotions of others for that matter. We're not taught emotions. We're taught providing and protecting, which is not wrong. That's not wrong either. Providing and protecting is definitely not wrong. It's definitely not helpful or healthy or productive, in my opinion, to not teach, young boys and men how to manage their own emotions, how to identify and manage their own emotions. It's a train wreck, actually. And again, why? How do I know this? Because of me, because of my own experience. And then now being in the space 4 years, I can tell you so many men are this is not a comfortable space for men. And I know I'm generalizing and stereotyping. Yes, there are some men that are dialed in, way more dialed in than I am. I think I can speak for the majority of men. This is not their comfort zone. This is not a space that they're very well versed in. Women are much more in tune and aware of their emotions. Again, are there exceptions to that? Absolutely. Are there some women that also don't know how to identify, acknowledge, and process their own emotions? Of course, absolutely. I think as a whole, women are much more adept at their own emotions than men are. So EQ Gangster, the brand, is definitely has a much more low barrier to entry for men that already, again, are uncomfortable about this space as it is. So EQ Gangster is a much more, low barrier to entry. There's not this big giant bar you have to jump over that, hey, well, you need to have a PhD before you come talk to me about emotions. Like, that's not my space, right? That's just not me. That's not who I am. So I want to make emotional health, emotional growth, emotional healing as relevant and broad mass appeal as possible. Could we have chosen a different name? Yes, we probably could have, and we did. Again, started out with EQ for Entrepreneurs, but EQ Gangster just more accurately reflects and encompasses my own unique personality and who I am and what I bring to the table. And as a result, so now part of the remodel piece, this whole the pitching, all these media reps. I've just started, so I've done one podcast already. I've got a TV show I'm doing next week, and so I have no idea if this may do nothing, right? These 69 media reps, maybe only half of them want to actually do something with me. Maybe only a third of them. Maybe only 25% of them actually follow through with what they said. Hey, we want you on our show. But even then, getting exposed to a much larger audience, is that going to have any difference or impact on our business, our views, I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it's going to flop and it was just all a great experience. Maybe it's going to help put us in the next level. I have no idea what's going to happen, but we want to be prepared. We want to be scalable. So how can we scale our business model to reach more people? Well, yes, I can do more corporate coaching, which that's happening. And I'm so thankful, because that's a passion of mine and I'm good at it. The other dynamic, though, is it's not scalable. I only have so many hours a day. So even if I maxed out and to help impact the supply and demand, I increase my dollars per hour, so that only the very, very serious people are able people in terms of financial resources are able to work with me personally. I still only have so many hours in a day. So my coaching time is limited. So now what? How do we work it? Well, we had our 8-week course, but it was taking, and I talked to a business consultant friend of mine. She's a top 50, a Fortune 50 business consultant. She said, Noble, dude, you're losing money on this 8-week course. How you've got it structured right now, you're losing money. So then we thought, and because our schedule is getting more and more tight and compressed, which I'm fine with. I want this to impact millions of people would be my dream. If we can have millions more healthy, emotionally healthier people, are you kidding me? This world would be a different place if we could do that. So we're just going to absorb our 8-week course into our membership, our EQ membership that we already have. We're going to call it the, what, you guys ready? The EQ Mafia, to kind of go along with that gangster theme. So our membership is going to be the EQ Mafia, and it's just going to be EQGangster.com/mafia. Let me say that again, EQGangster.com/mafia to get on that wait list. Now, that link is going to be active hopefully by the end of today. So if you hit it and it's like, hey, this doesn't work, just give it 24 hours, and hopefully it'll be up and running by then if it's not running by the time you hit it. But you want to get on the wait list, because when we open that membership up, you're going to have access to our entire EQ course, 8-week course, 4 modules, 10 to 15 videos each, about 50 different videos, 5 to 10 minute videos, laying out some of the foundational basic aspects and insights on emotional intelligence. We will also be doing 1 to 2 live group coaching Zooms per month as well in the EQ Mafia. So it's going to be a combination of some evergreen content that you'll be able to go in there and access whenever you want, in addition to live group coaching specifically with my wife and I. So so it's a hybrid learning environment, and there's also amazing workbooks that are going to be able to be downloadable within each of the 4 modules of the 8-week course that is getting absorbed into the membership. And so that's our remodel. So our remodel is, we're not going to do our 8-week course. That is going to be absorbed into our membership. The only thing